Question number 7, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Education. How much of the over $1 billion announced for refurbishing Christchurch schools last week will come from money the schools were already due to receive in the form of regular property funding, leaky buildings remediation and insurance payouts?
Honourable Hikia Parata.
Mr Speaker, as I said yesterday to the honourable member, it is no secret that a combination of funding is reflected in the $1.137 billion investment in Christchurch, including any insurance payout which is yet to be determined. However, I want to be helpful as I can, and so the current working provision we have is approximately $400 million of ministry baseline funding and over $700 million extra, including any insurance payout. Only the most jaded and graceless would be anything but delighted with an investment of over $1 billion to provide a better education for the children and young people of Christchurch. Mr Speaker, this investment is a combination of funding, much like Mr Cunliffe's grasp on the leadership. Some solid union support.
Order. That part will not help the order of the House. Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Order.
Did she receive a report in June last year that showed the Ministry of Education had been planning, before the quakes, to spend up to $710 million over 10 years on Christchurch schools anyway? If so, how on earth did she come up with the figures that she gave in her primary answer?
Honourable Hikia Parata.
I can't speak to the specific June report from last year that the member is referencing, but the Ministry of Education routinely makes provision for total school networks, and if what we're being accused of is prudent money management, then happy to be accused of that. And we have continued to update the provision for Christchurch as more detailed information has come to hand, and that is what has been reflected in the final announcement that I have made.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Did she receive and consider up-to-date population and demographic...
Order. I'm very close to the member and I can't hear the question. Chris Hipkins, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Did she receive and consider up-to-date population and demographic projections for the Greater Christchurch area before making the final decisions that she announced last week?
I can tell that the Minister can't actually hear the question that's being asked.
Is the microphone not working?
It's not normally shy.
Order. I have a suggestion. We'll try it with a lot less intervention and noise coming from other seats in the House. Chris Hipkins.
Take all the fun out of it. Mr Speaker, did she receive and consider up-to-date population and demographic projections for the Greater Christchurch area before making the final decisions on the proposals she announced last week? If not, why not?
Honourable Hikia Parata.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. We use continuously updated projections on demographic growth, but more specifically on projections for actual school roles.
Supplementary question, Dr Cam Corder.
Thank you. To the Minister.
Dr Corder.
How will the recently announced investment in Christchurch contribute to raising achievement for all children and young people?
Honourable Hikia Parata.
Mr Speaker, the investment we are making in Christchurch will give schools modern facilities, including better access to latest technology. Students will be able to take advantage of a city-wide digital learning network that extends curriculum choice and allows them to study in ways which better suit their preferred learning style. Improving the quality of education so that more students can succeed is a vital part of the renewal of Greater Christchurch. That's why we have invested over $1 billion in the next 10 years to provide a modern centre of learning for the children and young people of Christchurch.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, are public-private partnerships being considered for the rebuild of existing schools that have not been considered for merger or closure as part of the renewal process? If so, why?
Honourable Hikia Parata.
They might be, because we're interested in a range of procurement efforts, approaches. And the reason why we might be particularly interested in private-public partnerships is because they take on the whole-of-life management of the property, thus liberating the principal to focus on raising achievement of the students at their schools.
Supplementary question.
Order. Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will communities have the ability to reject the use of public-private partnerships for the rebuild of their local school if they wish to? If not, why not?
Honourable Hipkins.
Mr. Speaker, the purchase decisions which are related to over $1 billion will be driven by what is the best outcome for the particular school community, as well as what is the most prudent use of the taxpayers' money.
Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. My question asked
Can I ask the member to repeat the question?
Thank you, Mr.
Minister
Speaker.
may not have heard.
Will communities have the ability to reject the use of a public-private partnership for the build or rebuild of their local school? If not, why not?
Honourable
Speaker,
Hipkins.
if a public-private procurement method is chosen for a community, that community is fully involved in the design because the PPP is there to build what's required, not determine it.
Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Chris Hipkins.
Perhaps we want to give the Minister another go.
Point of order.
Mr. Speaker, once again, the Minister hasn't indicated whether or not communities will ultimately have the say and whether or not they want a public-private partnership.
On this occasion, I'll hear from the Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, you ruled yesterday on the issue of yes and no answers. Standing Orders makes it very clear that a yes or no answer cannot be sought by a member, and this question, given that it's been repeated twice now, effectively goes right to the heart of demanding a yes or no answer.
Well, no, order. I think the Honourable, before Mr. Brownlee rose to his feet, the member now has had two goes at the same question. He hasn't got an answer about whether the community will have the right to reject, and I accept that he hasn't, but he's had two goes at it. I think on this occasion the Minister, certainly in the second, attempted to address the question. The question has been addressed. The member can use further supplementaries if he so wishes, but Mr. Brownlee is quite right. Speaker's ruling 1675 by Jonathan Hunt clearly says, and it was used yesterday, cannot insist on an answer that's a yes or no answer.
Order, Mr. Speaker.
Well, can I just clarify that this is not a point of order relitigating a decision?
No, it's not at all,
Good.
Mr. Speaker.
Then
Mr.
I'll
Speaker,
hear the point of order.
Just as a clarification from the ruling you've just made as to whether or not, as to whether or not the standard that you're applying is that a minister attempt an answer or address the question. The minister certainly attempted an answer, but it didn't address the question.
That is relitigating exactly the ruling I've given. The member, in my opinion, on it. Order. The Minister has now, on two occasions, attempted to address the question, and my ruling that I had given the member, which he's now questioning, is that on the second occasion the member addressed the question. And again, I just want to clarify to the point.
Well, I am going to ask you to explain your answer, sir, and the reason is...
Order. That leads to disorder. If the member wants to come and see me after, he can do so. I have ruled. Now, if the member wants to raise a fresh point of order, I will happily hear it. But if we're going to get the situation where we're having relitigations of points of order, that in itself leads to disorder. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Miller.
Mr. Speaker, repeatedly in Speaker's rulings, ministers have been required to address the question. You appear to have set a new standard requiring ministers to attempt to address the question, and I'm asking you if that was deliberate.
No, what I'm saying is that the members must address, the answer must be relevant to the question. And I make a call on every question that's raised in this House, and I have ruled that the answer given by the Minister, while not delivering the answer the member, Mr Hipkins, wanted, was certainly relevant and addressed the question. Question number 8, Louise Upston.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.